Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. New year here, starting off, so all excited. Hopefully you had amazing holidays. But I just want to give, before we bring our amazing guest up, I would love to give a shout out to the Kimbra. If you are looking for more time, money, or resources, this is definitely the place that you want to go to. Just go check them out. Tell them Unstoppable Overcomer sent you, and I promise you it will definitely be something that you could use in the new year to get you on the right track. With that, I would love to bring up Dr. Chris Whaley. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thank you so much. It's great to be with you.
I love that hat.
Where are you located?
I'm in Windsor, Ontario.
Oh, man, it's cold enough to kill hogs up there, isn't it?
Well, funny you said that because I had beautiful hair today. And then I went for a walk on my lunch hour, and this is what happened. It was snow, slush, rain. But when you're dedicated to your health, you just do it. And so funny,
Well,
Kimberly and I were talking about that backstage before you joined us.
well, I am in Orlando, Florida, and I won't tell you what it's like here.
Sir, you're probably going to tell me it's 80 degrees because every time I talk to a friend in Florida, they're like, oh, it's warm here. Or they tell me it's cold and it's like 80. I'm like, just shut up.
It's actually a little cool this week, but this is the reason why people from up north and why so many Canadians come to Florida during the winter from November through April. The most beautiful time of the year here.
Well, that's funny. Yes, because I've been there in September, and the Border Patrol guy says, "Why are you going to Florida in September? It's hurricane season." I'm like, "Well, when you have the time, money, and resources to do it, that's when you go." Yeah. And so that's funny that you said that. But I'm super excited to have you here, sir. Tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do. I know you have an amazing overcoming story, and we're just so blessed to have you here today.
Well, thank you so much. I've had a little bit of an unusual life. I spent 10 years in professional wrestling from 1978 to 1988, and I actually retired from wrestling at the height of my career to become a Baptist minister. Matter of fact, my last 3 years in pro wrestling was when I was getting my seminary degree in Fort Worth, Texas. So I went to school in the daytime and I wrestled at night, and it was a pretty cool 3 years there in Texas. And then since 1988, I have been a pastor. I've written 3 books. My first book, The Masked Saint, was made into an award-winning movie, which it was in theaters back in 2016. Did 3 years on Netflix, and now it's on Amazon Prime. So you can watch the movie on Amazon Prime. It has just been an amazing, amazing life. Because when I became a pastor, they train you for a lot of things in seminary. I mean, you have to learn the languages. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew. The New Testament was written in Greek. So you take, basically 3 years of Greek and Hebrew. They teach you church history. They teach you all of these things. But deep down, they do not teach you to be a pastor. So it was literally learning on the job. And I ran into some people who I handled more as a professional wrestler than I did as a pastor. The very first one that started the ball rolling had a precious young mom who would come into the service. She would drop her kids off at our kids program, and then she would come in. She was always the last one to come into the sanctuary, and then she was always the first one to leave. And on this particular Sunday, she came in with sunglasses on, which was a little unusual. And after the service was over, I always stood at the front door and shook hands with people. And that day, she was the last person to go out. And when she came up to me, she took my hand with both of her hands and had her head down. and I could see tears coming down her cheeks. And I lifted the sunglasses, and she had two black eyes. And it just enraged me. I mean, any man that would hit a woman is a dirtbag. And it just incensed me that the father of this father to two precious little girls, and he's hitting his wife. And so I told her, I said, I'm going to go visit your husband. And she was like, oh, no, don't, he'll hurt you. And I said, I'm really not worried about it. And so I went to his house, and I came, I said, listen, I am here to see how you would do against someone who is able to fight back. I said, you're obviously a bully, and bullies only pick on people that they know they can defeat. So come out here and give it your best shot. So he got a little belligerent with me and came out, and we danced in his front yard. And it was wonderful because I didn't get to relieve my stress like I did when I was in pro wrestling. So I relieved a lot of stress on that old boy that day. And that was the beginning of, the Masked Saint. I just had episode after episode after episode where I handled things as a professional wrestler more than as a pastor. And then I wrote that book about it. It talks about my transition from pro wrestling to ministry.
Right. That's an incredible story. Like, seriously. And, I'm sure we're going to have some people that are listening to this saying, well, is that really the pastor thing to do? Hello. God obviously puts you in this place to say, this is what you, this is what I'm having you do now. Right. And I love that. It's like what is that word? There's a proper word for it, and it's slipping my mind. The Avenger.
Yeah. Are you thinking of a vigilante?
Yes, like the Avenger, the Archangel. I picture this Archangel, the Avenger, and not the Avenger that the kids cartoon, but it's you only see it in the movies. Let's just put it that way, right? And
Well,
here you are,
yeah.
being that person. And so, what made you decide, first of all, to get into pro wrestling?
Say again.
What made you decide to get into pro wrestling?
Well, when I was a kid, I was the sickly kid. I was constantly in and out of the hospital, mostly with pneumonia. And in the fourth grade, I had polio and viral encephalitis. I was in the hospital for 3 months, and I was I was a skinny little kid. And back in those days, when I was in the hospital, you get your days and your nights mixed up because you sleep so much at the wrong time. And late at night, when I turned the TV on, about the only thing I could get was professional wrestling. And as a kid, I loved it. I just loved watching professional wrestling, and those guys were my heroes. And then when I got out of the hospital, if I could get my dad to take me to one of those pro wrestling events, it was just like a home run. And so I just continued to love professional wrestling. I had a wonderful doctor who was able to find out exactly what was wrong with me. The reason I kept getting pneumonia was my immune system was not working. And the reason my immune system was not working was because I was allergic to everything. They found out that I was allergic to over 200 things. And so they started giving me those allergy shots. An amazing thing happened. I started putting on weight. And then my doctor was the one, because of my polio, he's the one that got me going to the gym, working out with weights. And so I just loved working. I still love working out. And my body changed. And then pretty soon I look like a professional wrestler. And my wife and I moved back to Central Florida after we graduated from college. And she was a high school math teacher. And so she was grading papers, and I just had just come home, and I had the newspaper, and I was in the sporting section. There was an ad that said wanted professional wrestlers. And I jumped up out of my seat, and I ran over to my wife, and I said, look at this. And she looked up and read it, and then she rolled her eyes and she kept grading papers. And I said, I'm going. So I packed a bag, threw it in the car, and I drove over to Tampa. And I walked into this gym, and there was this villain that I had watched as a child growing up, the Great Malenko. And I just I loved it from the moment that I walked into the gym. Uh, I loved every time I got into the ring, and so that was 1978, and I just loved every minute of getting into professional wrestling.
That is awesome. I know I shared with you in the pre-interview that that was something my family did way back when. Like I think it was like Friday, Saturday nights we would sit there,
Yeah,
get popcorn and watch. Back then it was Hulk Hogan
oh, yeah.
and then that were fighting back, or the Undertaker. He used to scare the crap out of me. I really didn't like him.
I wrestled.
Uh,
I wrestled the Undertaker.
did you?
Yeah, I
Now
wrestled.
who won?
Well, thanks for asking that. It was really funny. Can I tell you this story? It's so
Yes,
funny.
yes.
Um, well, on Friday nights when I was in seminary, on Friday nights when I wrestled, I would take my wife and my two little girls because they didn't get to go during the week. But on Friday, they would go and watch me wrestle. And then after I wrestled, we would do our Friday night fun night, family stuff.
Right.
And so on this particular night, I was early in the lineup, and I wrestled. I went back to the dressing room. Now, usually my wife would give me enough time to get a shower and change, and then she'd just meet me in the parking lot. But I go back to the dressing room. I'm taking my boots off, and the promoter came in and said, "I need somebody to wrestle again." The guy who was supposed to work against Mark Calloway, who was the Undertaker, um, he's not going to make it, and so one of you guys got to wrestle twice. And I raised my hand. I said, "I'll do it." And I knew this kid was going to be a major star, and he was for 3 decades. He was a major star.
Right.
So I got the referee. I said, "Hey, listen, go out and find my wife in the crowd and tell her not to leave. Tell her I'm going to wrestle again, but don't tell her who I'm wrestling." And he said, "Okay." So he goes out. He found her. He came back in. He said, "I found her, and they're going to wait." I said, "You didn't tell her who I was wrestling?" And he said, "No, no, no." Okay. So the time for the match came, and he was the big star. So I had to go in the ring first. And I found my wife and I found my two little girls sitting there. And then the lights went down and that hideous music came on.
I hate
And he
that
walked,
music.
yeah, he walked into the arena. And when he did, I looked at my wife and my little girls, and my wife's eyes were really big, and both my little girls were crying. And then my wife reached over and grabbed her purse and started going through her purse real crazy. And anyway, the match started. We had a great match, and everything went fine. And then that night, we were driving back to Fort Worth, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and both my little girls were asleep. And I looked over at my wife, and I said, "Hey, right before the match started, I noticed you grabbed your purse and you were going through it like crazy." I said, "What was that about?" And she said, "Oh," she said, "I was looking for the checkbook to make sure you'd paid the insurance." That's a true story. True story.
I believe it. Yes, I hate that music when when he comes on, and I hate at the end because then they do that whole thing, and sometimes people go in the casket, and I'm like, why do we do this? Like seriously, like this isn't wrestling. It's
Yeah.
okay, and it is a man's soap opera. We distinguished that already in the pre-interview, but I mean, I truly it is, and whatever, people can still have their who's gonna win.
Yeah.
But I love that. But yeah, I wouldn't wrestle against him. No way. I and my nephew's actually named after Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, wow. Well, when I was in Texas, Stone Cold was working there, but he was not Stone Cold. He had long blonde hair, and he wrestled as Stunning Steve Austin. And then when he went to the WWF, Vince McMahon is the one who made him into Stone Cold. And Of course, the rest is history,
The
and
rest is history.
he's quite a guy, quite a guy.
He is, yeah. We watched his biography. That was one of the biographies that we had watched, and sometimes my husband loves that kind of thing. So we're gonna have to check your movie out too. Maybe over Christmas, over the holidays, we'll do that. Um, yeah. So what made you decide to transition from being a wrestler into being a pastor?
Well, wrestling was my dream, but being a pastor was my calling. My life changed drastically my first semester in college. And that's when I became a Christian. And it wasn't long after that that I felt this call into the ministry. And I talked to my pastor about it. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that that was my calling, was to be a pastor. So, um, God was great to me. He allowed me to do what I dreamed of doing, which was being in professional wrestling. But also I fulfilled my call to him also, and
Mhm.
I don't regret that at all. It's been some great years, and I just have so many wonderful stories of things that have happened to me in the ministry, and I wouldn't change a thing. But you know, I still get invitations to wrestle cons and book signings, and I actually got back in the ring last year
Oh wow.
on November the 17th of last year at the age of 68. I got back into the ring, and it was awesome. Now I'm not going to do it again. That was enough. But I did. I got back into the ring, and they streamed it, so thousands of people watched me do it, and it was something. Uh, I gave my boots and my trunks and stuff to the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. And so I didn't have my old boots and I didn't have my old tights and stuff. So I had to order new boots, had to order new tights, a new mask, the whole works. But it was awesome, and I'm just very blessed to be able to say that I got into the ring at the age of 68, and I didn't break anything. So that's a great.
There you go. God had you. And so are you still considered the mass, what is it, the mass priest or the mass saint today? Like, are you still pastoring and still standing up for those amazing people that need it?
Yeah, I am. I'm an assistant pastor. I was a senior pastor for 30 years, where I
Wow.
was the number one guy, and had
Mhm.
staff people that served with me. But those days are over. So for the last 10 years, I've just been an assistant pastor. That means I don't have to deal with all the stress, and I'm very thankful for that. I've had a couple of events that have taken place. It's a lot different today than it was back in the 80s and the 90s. Back in those days, you could handle things physically, but this day and age, you're likely to get shot here in America.
Yeah.
Because everybody owns a gun here, and so. But I don't think about it when I see something happening that I've got to do something to help someone. I don't even think of those things. I just do it. And I still remember one of the last events was at church. I walked out of the church and I heard somebody dropping the F-bomb in the parking lot. That'll get your attention. If somebody drops the F-bomb in the church parking lot. And I
Right.
looked across the parking lot, and there was this guy slapping this pregnant girl.
Oh my gosh.
And and then every other word out of his mouth was that F-bomb. And I screamed across the parking lot, and then he screamed back at me, and he called me some names. So I started walking towards him. Now I did not know this until later, but we had a school that met on our campus, and my daughter taught in that school. And so she was just getting out, and she opened the door and she heard what was going on, and she saw me walking towards this guy. And she told me this later. She said she got in front of me and put her hands on my chest and said, "No, Dad, no, Dad, no, Dad." And I don't even remember that. After it was all over, I didn't even remember that.
Hmm.
Because it just really infuriated me when I saw, this guy slapping a pregnant woman, and it was, it was kind of interesting. I body slammed him on the concrete, and I, I just kind of lectured him a little bit while he was laying there on the concrete, and I said, when I let you up, I don't want to ever see you hitting a girl, much less a pregnant girl. And then it hit me what I had done. And then at the next service we had, at the end of the service, I asked if I could speak to the congregation. And I told them, I said, I got to tell you what I did. I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. And so I told them, and I said, please, I've asked God to forgive me, and please forgive me. And the whole congregation stood and applauded. So they didn't fire me, which was a good thing.
I don't know of anybody who would, be upset about that. Number one, you're right. We were always grew up with, never hit a woman. No matter how many times my brother wanted to hit me, my dad says, "Don't hit her, don't hit her." And it's funny, he's never hit me. My dad only actually hit me once when we were growing up, and I deserved it. I'm not going to say I didn't. And so it's funny, but yeah, I don't know of anybody who would, say, "Well, what you did was wrong," um, and it's just defending a woman, right, or somebody who needed it. And I think I think if you were to bring that back into society today, I think society would be a lot different than it is today. You know, and but I just have this, I just envision, like, as you were talking and sharing your story about this masked guy that comes out and, pastor preaching the word and saving damsels in distress. I have a very vivid imagination. So it helps in sometimes. Um, but
Well,
good for you. Like that is so amazing. Yeah. And God used, you wanted to wrestle, and sort of God used that in a different way.
yeah,
Gave you something that you wanted to do, but then also something that, you
yeah.
know, to
By the
help
way,
others.
you'll love the movie. The movie was actually filmed in Canada. It was filmed in Sault Ste. Marie.
No way.
Yeah, it was filmed in Sault Ste. Marie, and it had, several Canadian actors in it. I don't know if you remember Roddy Piper,
Yes. He
but
was one of my favorites. He was
yeah,
such a loudmouth, but I loved him.
yeah, he plays the promoter in the movie, and of course he's from Saskatchewan. Yeah,
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 Saskatchewan. Yeah.
and then tragically, the movie was made in November of 2013, and then tragically he passed away the following July.
Oh
And
wow.
so the movie is actually dedicated to him. But he was just a super guy. I mean, he was a great wrestler. He's a great actor, and he's definitely missed by a lot of people.
So other than the Piper, who else was your favorite? Who was your favorite to wrestle against?
Um, well, my all-time favorite match, of course, was with Mark Calloway, the Undertaker. I had some eventful matches. I wrestled the Ultimate Warrior. That was one of the hardest matches I think I ever had. But I worked. Mark was a world heavyweight champion. The Ultimate Warrior was a world heavyweight champion. I wrestled the first black world heavyweight champion. His name was Iceman King Parsons. That was a great match. I wrestled flamboyant Eric Embry, and he was a world champion at that time. And I don't know. Every match I had was great, and I loved every one of them. I mean, well, they were the Ultimate Warrior. I wasn't crazy about that one, but most of them, they were great. They really were.
Oh, I love it. Love it. You know, and doing something that you absolutely love. That's got to be rewarding.
Yeah.
Not only being, a pro wrestler, but then turning around and doing what you're called to do
Yeah.
by being a pastor as well. Love it. Love
Mhm.
it. Love it. And so, did any of your children or grandchildren go into wrestling of any kind?
Oh no, oh no. My oldest daughter was actually a high school math teacher like her mom. But when she had her first baby, she became a stay-at-home mom, and so they have 4 kids, and she's been a stay-at-home mom. My youngest daughter is a music teacher. She's actually a worship leader at First Baptist Orlando, or as we here in Orlando affectionately call it Baptist World. We have Disney World, we have Sea World, and then there's Baptist World. It's a church with over 20,000 members. And so my daughter, she has a beautiful, beautiful voice, and she has 2 kids. And so uh, both of them ended up to be teachers like their mom. My oldest grandson is 15, and I don't think he'll go into wrestling. And I have two. He has 2 younger brothers, and I don't think they're too much of computer geeks. But my youngest grandson Shepherd, he's 5 years old, and he said he wants to grow up and be a wrestler like Papa. So I still got hope.
There you go. That's funny because I my grandfather died very young. My mom's dad, and all he would talk about was be wrestling. That's back when Diamond Dallas Page was a big hit. He actually saw some of them and have their autographs somewhere. I don't know who has those pictures.
Yeah,
I remember it after he passed away, seeing some of them,
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, wrestling brings everybody together, I guess, in the family. Whether you're old, young, female, male. Because even the female wrestlers,
mhm.
like uh, Azina and the Bella sisters. Actually, it's funny because Kimberly and I at one point said, "Yeah, we were the Bella sisters," uh, but
Oh,
take on that persona, the confidence of those women in wrestling.
there's a new wrestling organization called AEW. It's called All Extreme Wrestling, I think, and they're getting to be pretty big. They actually are owned by Tony Khan. His dad owns the Jacksonville Jaguar football team. So he started, competing with the WWE. They have a great group of talent. I mean, great talent, and they film their matches are on TNT. I think on Wednesday and on Sundays. Uh, but they have a female champion. I don't know if she's still champion now, but I think her name is Britt. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she's a dentist. She's a dentist and she's a professional wrestler.
Wow.
Yeah, so they got some different kind of people that are in wrestling today. I don't feel so bad being a minister and being in wrestling because they got a dentist, and I've heard of an opera star who was a closet wrestler, and I haven't found a lawyer yet. I don't think they got backbone enough to be uh, a professional wrestler. So
I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, well, you never know. Anybody could be whoever they want to be, right?
yeah,
And I've always instilled that
yeah,
in my nephews and my stepson. I'm like, guys, whatever you want to do, just go for it because
yeah.
sky is the limit.
Yep.
So I love that. Wow. And so, and now you're in Florida. Are you retired or you're just soaking out? You said you're a junior pastor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mainly just volunteer my time to this church that I'm serving in. The pastor's a great friend, and I just love being there to be a help to him. So
mhm.
uh, I I don't think I'll ever retire. So
Well, if you're doing something that you love, it's not really work, right? I've always been told that.
that's
Uh, So if you do things you love, it's never work. So you don't have to retire.
There you go.
And that's, I feel the same way in some aspects. Yeah. Doing things like that, I'll probably never retire from, but, uh, different day jobs that I've had. Totally. I can see it happening.
I love the title of your show that has to do with overcoming, because I think that's been my life. I've had to overcome so many things, overcome the health issues. In 2012, I had a heart attack. 2013, I had cancer. And, my whole life has been about overcoming all those obstacles. And so, any way I can encourage other people to not give up and to be an overcomer. I'm just thankful they got shows like yours that has to do with those subjects.
Well, thank you. Yeah, yeah, Unstoppable Overcomers. And the whole reason why we started this platform was so people would know that they're not alone in their circumstances, right? It's funny because there's a lot that I grew up in a loving home, but it always was chaos, right? And when you said your health issues, that was my parents. It was one chronic health condition after another. And then kids are cruel. So, you said you were scrawny and skinny. Well, I was the opposite, and kids bully you for that. And having low self-esteem. So the first guy that comes along that says he loves you, you believe it. And, that turned into a nightmare. Too bad I didn't have the masked saint with, that could have took care of business. But
Mm-hmm.
I did it myself, keeping a lot away from my parents. Being when they don't hit you and it's just verbal, how do you explain that to somebody, right?
Yeah.
So, just sucking it up and keep on going, and because they have you believing that, hey, it's your fault. If you wouldn't have said this or did this, then everything would have been great. And until, your eyes are completely open and God opens the door and saves you from all of that. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And so, starting this platform, I wrote a book too, and it's out there,
What's the name of
but
it?
the overcomer facing challenges with faith and courage.
Oh,
Yeah. And so, in networking and trying to get the book out, because no one knows this chick from Windsor, Ontario. I just met some incredible people like yourself. And I thought, well, why don't I start this show to give a platform for everyday people, that, can, and I don't care who you are, you could be Tom Brady. And to me, you're still just an ordinary person because they, you know, they've gone on to be a pro athlete, just like yourself. But there's always more to somebody than just, their title. Like a pro wrestler, there is you are a man behind that title, right? And that's why we have this show to say, hey, we're no different than anybody else, but here's how we overcome it. And this is how you can overcome it too. Because I know there are some dark times in the moments that I've had personally that I'm like, why am I still here? you know? And so if we could save one life, wow, the main goal is to save them all. But if we could save one life per episode, and not just exponentially compounds,
yeah.
just like becoming a pastor, how many people's lives could you possibly save in a sermon, right? But it's not just the one sermon, you keep going.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good for you. Good for you.
well, thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been a journey the last 3 years, but it's been amazing. It's we've had our struggles just
Yeah.
like you.
Mhm.
Life is not easy. They always said, especially being a life of a Christian, life is never easy, but it's always worth it.
Yeah.
And some days I disagree with that, and other days I'm like, oh, go for it. Right. And it's just the phrase, God won't give you more than you can handle without him. I'm just like, I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. I do. You just keep on keeping on and
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing, and you're you're going to touch a lot of lives in your lifetime.
Well, thank you. Well, we've said right from the beginning that I would be the next Oprah. I wanted to reach as many people as Oprah has,
All
so
right.
that, this show, if you're out there listening, anybody, we want this to go to daytime TV, is the main goal, so that we can touch more lives, because, we do have our YouTube channel, we do have our Roku channel, but let's put this show out to the masses so everybody's watching this, so that they can hear the stories of hope, inspiration, and not giving up, because that's what it's about.
Well, you keep pushing it. One day you'll be up there. Keep
There we
pushing.
go.
And make sure you call me again. I'll be on your show.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. You're always welcome. As a matter of fact, Oprah had a rule. I think you had to come back 10 years later
Yeah.
to be on her show, I think is one of her rules. But I do it every once in a while, especially if
Yeah.
we always say here, well, once you've been on the show, you're now part of the family.
Yeah.
So, and family roots for each other. And so if anybody's got anything more going on that, they want to share with the world, something positive, we're always here. You're always welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. And I'll take you up on it too.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. We'd love to hear that. Love to hear that. And so what is the next steps? You have your books out. Can you share a little bit about your books with us and where that people can find them?
Yeah. The first one is The Masked Saint. That was my first book. And my transition from, pro wrestling to ministry and all of the things that I got into that they made the movie about. Once you write a book and it's made into a movie, it kind of spoils you. And you start thinking, well, I want to write another book, but what would have the best opportunity to be made into a movie? And my wife and I love those stupid Hallmark Christmas movies. I mean, I get in touch with my feminine side and I watch those, and I like them. And so I had an idea for a Christmas story that I think would make an awesome movie, and it's called Harold's Heavenly Christmas. If you love the movie It's a Wonderful Life, well, Harold is the new Clarence, and so it's a great Christmas story, and I love writing that, and everybody that reads it, they love it, and they say this ought to be a movie, and I say, yeah, I'm trying to do all I can to get it done, but last year they were all on strike, and so I don't know, but I'm still holding out. My latest book has just been released, and it's entitled Mr. President. It parallels two lives. There's a sleazy comedian who runs for president every 4 years, and he gets celebrities' autographs, but what they're actually signing is an agreement to be his vice presidential candidate. And so he gets an autograph from the World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, and who's signing an agreement to be his vice presidential, candidate. And so there's a big scandal with the Democrats and a big scandal with the Republicans, and the comedian wins the presidency. But he was a smoker and a drinker, and while he's making his acceptance speech, he has a heart attack, and it thrusts the world heavyweight champion into the presidency. And then he begins putting all of his wrestling buddies in his cabinet, and he turns Washington, D.C. upside down. It's a political comedy, and it is so funny, and just came out. And if you need a good laugh, you need to get Mr. President, because you'll do a lot of laughing.
I can't wait to read it. I'm going to go on Amazon tonight and look. Where can you get it on Amazon, or where can you?
Yeah, you can get all of them on Amazon. You can get all of them and I don't think they're in any brick and mortar up there in Canada, but anyway, but you can get them on Amazon, and also, if you go to my website, themaskedsaint.com, if you want an autograph one, you can go on there, and I'll autograph one and send it to you.
Perfect.
And if you tell me that you saw this show, I will will throw in an autographed 8x10 picture of me in my wrestling outfit. So uh,
Wow.
I'll,
Okay.
but
I'm making
you have to mention overcomers. So
perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
I'm writing that down to make sure that we put that out there. Perfect. Thank you so much. That is awesome. We appreciate you, and I can't wait to read that because it sounds like something that it sounds like my dad used to watch this movie called Mr. President. I think it was Mr. President with Annette Bening and oh, what's his name? I picture him, Douglas. I think it was Douglas,
Yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, and
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me a cross between that and the other one where the president ends up having a heart attack, but because they don't want the world to know, they hire an actor.
Oh yeah.
And
His last name is Klein.
yes,
Yeah, he played that. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So is it like it's almost like a cross between both movies, is what it sounds like. So I'm gonna have to read it.
It is. It is good. It really is. Even if I say so, it's good.
Well, of course, I and we'll definitely read it, and we'll definitely get a review out there for you because that's what it's all about. And I'm sure it's amazing. I mean, just talking with you, I can't help but be amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Absolutely. So now it is that time that we bring our roving reporter on the show. So welcome back, Miss Kimberly Genovese, and I hit the wrong button again. That is it with me.
No, it's not you. It's me. I am the wrong button.
No.
In a good way. In a good way.
Okay.
In a good way. Man, what a privilege. Do you like to be called? I feel like I should call you Dr. Chris.
Nah, call me.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad had a third grade education. He was a long distance truck driver. I was actually the first one in my family to get a high school, degree, graduate from high school. And for a long time, I was the only one to go to college, and I'm the only one that's ever gotten a doctorate. And when I got a doctorate, my dad put his arm around me and he said, son, I want to tell you something about them degrees. That's the way he said it. He said, them big degrees are just like another crook in the pig's tail. It don't make the ham any sweeter. So.
I'm in love with your dad. Thank you for sharing him with us and everyone out there. And
he was a great guy. He really was. He had so many expressions. My youngest daughter, she was going to write a book and call it Papa-isms, things that she heard her papa say. So.
It's not too late, is it? She could still write that book, couldn't she?
She could still do it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let her know we said we'd love to see that book and promote that book.
I'll tell her Kimberly said so.
Yeah, please. Yes. Like, no joke. Say Kimberly said so.
There we go. I'll do
and
that.
If she needs any support from us at Unstoppable Overcomers, we got her back.
All right.
Like, for reals. Like, we'll make it happen with her.
I'll do that.
We'll have her on the show and she can talk about it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
She could sing for you. She got the voice of an angel. So.
Well, sir, what you don't know is we were looking to change the show up a little bit. And so another one of Oprah's rules is if you sing, you must sing on the show. Yeah. So, and we started that. We had a month back, we had somebody who sings on the show. And so we are looking for performers to perform, like share their story, and then they must perform after.
Casey is the one. She's the one.
All right. Well,
yeah. Are you on Facebook?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If you go on Facebook, I posted several of her where she's singing, and yeah, you can hear her sing on that. There's a local TV station that had her come in and record like 5 Christmas songs, and they played them on their show. So she's got a beautiful, beautiful voice.
So, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but I am Christmas magic, and I am Christmas 24/7. So it's perfect. She's done Christmas songs. She can come in the middle of the year and do a Christmas song
All right.
on the fundamentals, right? Because that's my space. It's Christmas.
There you go.
Well, with that in the background, Chris, please, in now leading people into 2024, let's hear your fundamentals. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my first one is a little bit strange, and it's this: life is not fake. Every time I go and speak somewhere or do a book signing or whatever, I always have this guy that comes up to me and says, all that pro wrestling is fake. Uh, Professional wrestling is not fake. I mean, think about it. How do you fake a body slam? How do you fake getting hit with a folded chair? How do you fake getting thrown out of the ring onto a concrete floor? Professional wrestling is not fake. It is predetermined. You know who's going to win and who's going to lose. But the point of this is that my life after wrestling is not fake either, nor is it determined by someone else. My life is determined by the choices that I make. And I have, each choice that I have made in my life has determined what my life has turned out to be. So be very careful with the choices that you make, because they will determine your life. So that's my first fundamental.
Okay. So hold on, because there was a lot there in your first fundamental, which is really great, because Dee, I can see where we're going in 2024 already, right? Like it's getting richer and richer and thicker and thicker. Yeah. So I really heard two things in that fundamental, like an A and a B. The fake piece, like really getting, and I got it very newly in your sharing just now, is like there's things that we kind of go through life inside of, like, maybe, like to your point, that like in wrestling, and this is interesting, right? Like we know who's going to win. Like I assert that not everybody knows, like we, the audience, don't know. Yeah. In the business of pro wrestling, there's a business and we know who's going to win, who's going to live. Right. But as far as what happens in the tournament itself is real. Mm-hmm. Like you guys are living through and feeling all the things that are there to be felt.
Yeah. I've crushed my ankle. I've had 5 knee surgeries, both ACLs, MCLs. I've had 2 lateral releases, dislocated hips, broke pelvis. I broke every one of my ribs, my sternum, both collarbones. I've had both shoulders surgically repaired, neck injuries, back injuries. I've had over 100 concussions. Broke my nose so many times I can't breathe out of it. And I'm deafened this year from getting punched. So when people tell me it's fake, I say, what part of that did I not get?
Because I didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo.
I got the hospital bills and I didn't get the memo. Like, whoa.
Yeah. But in life, there's a lot of fakers out there. I mean, I went to the mall Sunday afternoon. Saturday afternoon. My wife was singing at a church event, and so it was cold and it was rainy. So I just went to the mall, and I thought, how many of these folks are really just faking it? They're walking around with one face on, but there's something a lot deeper in their life, and so they just fake life instead of being real with who they really are. So
yeah,
I just threw that in there for extra.
Well, and that was the bridge. That's where I see the bridge in it being one fundamental, right? Yes. Is like, notice where in life are you making choices that has you just robotically moving through life?
Yeah.
Or actually where you're feeling, right? Yes. Like you're actually feeling the shattered ankle, or, but you can actually feel the experience that is the experience, because life is happening right now. It's happening right now and right now and right now. And are you awake, alert, alive, making choices that would have you be awake, alert, and live? That this is not a dress rehearsal.
Right.
That life is literally happening right now and your choices matter.
Yep.
They really matter. That's what I heard is your number one fundamental.
I agree with that. And I thought you did a good job of putting it out there.
Okay, cool. All right. So number 2.
Number 2 is don't beat yourself up just because somebody else beat you up. Winning or losing was not my choice in wrestling. I already shared that it was the promoter's choice, but I got beat up more than once, but I was always able to get back on my feet to wrestle another day. And so the same is true in life, because I win every time I attempt something. I mean, even when I fail, that's not the end of the world. Failure is not final. Failure is not final until you quit. And so you're never a loser until you quit trying. So don't beat yourself up when you fail.
Thank you for that one. That one's juice. Again, you did it again. You did it again. So the reference on don't beat yourself up because other people do, like, that is so priceless, because that is predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And as humans in general, right, we're caught up in a conversation and a way of being where in some way, shape, or form we all experience the being beat up by people.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's predictable, if we're not conscious to it, is that we will beat up either on others or ourselves or both.
Yeah.
And to catch it, like, just know that's going to be part of, you're either going to be part of the transcending humanity, so that does not become a choice, or you're not, right? But then the second component, right, you blended it right into the failure piece, is, choose to finish. That's what I actually, as I'm right here with you right now, is choose finishing versus failing, like as a finish.
All right. Yeah, Kimberly's going to write a book one day with all these fundamentals. You're going to put them into print. There you go.
There goes Doc. Now I got to actually call you Dr. Chris, because Dr. Chris just showed up with that one. That was good. That could be a show. We could just put it together, all the fundamentals from each year.
There you go.
There we go. All right. Well, Chris, please bring us home with number 3.
All right. Be prepared for injuries. And it means you don't let life just happen. You have to be prepared, because I guarantee you, you will be injured some way in life. Someone will betray you. Someone will steal your idea. Someone will throw a wrench in your life machine and upset your world. So you have to expect the unexpected, and how you react to those injuries will determine your success. When I was in wrestling, when you're injured in the world of professional wrestling, they do not wait for you to heal and recover, because someone else is there waiting for their chance to get into the squared circle. So I was blessed with a very high tolerance to physical pain. I mean, you can't do what I did for 10 years without getting banged up. So because of that high pain tolerance, I was able to keep going with, even when some injuries happened, I could still get back into the ring. So my whole point is, you just better be prepared for injuries in life, because they will happen. And how you react to those injuries are going to determine your success.
Well, and I'm going to say Dr. Chris again, because it's so brilliant and it's so perfect. And I'm so grateful that our audience gets to hear this in the first month of the new year. I love that fundamental, and say more, because what you alluded to, but it leaves the audience wondering, right, is how do you dance between the first fundamental and the third fundamental, right? Like, so staying present and being able to feel, right? While also dancing with injuries right? So like I heard resiliency. I heard, like not, I don't want to say this because I'll just say it. It's kind of like, gutting through, like gritting, like being gritty, but then there's that fine line of being gritty and then not abusing yourself either, right? So fundamental number 2.
Right.
So it occurs as a real jewel and a gem.
Yeah.
How do you dance between being injured and gritty, right? Like, how do you know the difference, or what's that fine line between gritty and playing hurt, right? Like harmfully hurt.
Yeah. Well, I didn't always do it right. I watch professional sports today, and a lot of it annoys me when you have some guy that is not in the game because his little pinky is hurt, or he has I don't know. They come up with all these stupid injuries and all. I got thrown out of a ring in Dallas one night, and I broke 2 ribs, and I got back in the ring the next night. So, there's just a lot of people that are whiners, and you got to suck it up and get back in the ring, and don't let those things stop you. I don't think, I'm going to call you Dr. Kimberly, but I don't know if I know what Dr. Kimberly wanted, but I gave it my best shot.
Oh, you nailed it. What I heard in that is, what I heard you saying is it's important to have team, right? It's important to have a team of experts around you that can distinguish between being soft and being hurt.
Yeah.
Right. Like, no, we need to take you out. And when you were sharing, I kept seeing Rocky Balboa and his coach. Right. Yes. And so you got to have someone who's there with you that, like, you can look to and say, yeah, I see 3. And then, right. And the classic line, hit the one in the middle,
Yeah.
It's like, so having someone with you experiencing what you're experiencing, especially when you're pushing yourself through the pain, right? Yeah. Because the reality is what happens in birth, right? The birth of something, there is pain, and pain can be beautiful, right? No pressure, no diamonds, and there, always be dancing with at least one other person is what I heard in your sharing. And that Dorothy and I have experienced it over the last 2 years, that, as long as you have that one in your corner that's listening for your well-being, you're good.
Yeah. Dorothy, you need to give her a raise.
From your lips to God's ears. Your lips to God's ears is done.
All right. Well, with that, Dorothy, back to you. Thank you, Dr. Chris. It's been such a pleasure. I have followed your career. I'm like tickled that you're on our show, and I'm just, thank you. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for the contribution you make to the world, and especially to us and our audience. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I am just a very blessed individual. I'm thankful to God every day. He has blessed me so much. I have a wife I've been married to almost 49 years. I have 2 godly daughters and 2 godly son-in-laws, and 6 wonderful grandkids. And I got people that love me in spite of me. I'm just very thankful for that. So I'm just very blessed by God, and I thank him for that every day. And thank you.
Amen. Amen.
All right.
Dorothy?
Pleasure. So with that, guys, go to the Masked Saint right now and go order all 4 of those books of Chris's. Tell them you saw
3.
Oh, 3. Sorry, 3. Oh, and the movie.
No, she's already envisioned your 4th one.
Yeah, it's already there. It's done. Tell Chris that you saw the show, and he will put in there the 8x10 signed autograph too. And you know what an amazing show. I wish my dad and my grandfather were alive. I could say, hey, guess what? Who was on my show? They'd be like, Oh, girl. Anyways,
But D, you know that they're watching the show, right?
I know they're watching
Okay.
it. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
I know they're watching.
I'm thankful that Rena introduced me to you. I'm very thankful.
Yes.
Yeah, she's quite a lady too.
You know, I'm going to have to call her after this because, well, she left me a message on in my messenger today, but I haven't had a chance to go listen to it yet. But yeah, very thankful for connecting with her. And I will we'll have to send her a thank you card. But
My wife is actually tutoring her son in math.
Really?
I think he's taking geometry and she's tutoring him by Zoom. Yeah, so they're in Texas and we're here. So they Zoom together and she helps him with his geometry. So I still keep in touch with Rena. She's precious. She is.
Yes, very nice lady. Very nice. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's been a real treat.
Absolutely. And we want to thank our viewers for tuning in. Like we said, go to the Masked Saint right now. Go get your copies and watch Chris's book or watch Chris's movie. Watch the book. Jeez. Alrighty then.
Read the movie and watch the book.
That's right.
We're just making sure they're all listening. That's all.
That's right.
The movie is on Amazon Prime. So, I mean, I have DVDs, but you can watch it for free on Amazon Prime. So.
Well, I got Prime, so guess what I'm watching this weekend?
Yeah. It's good, D.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have no doubt. One thing you want to know about Kimberly is she's the biggest movie buff ever.
Really?
She comes up with, have you watched this? Have you watched this? Have you watched this? I'm like, no. Well, that's part of your homework. Shit, I've got so much homework.
I have a T-shirt my youngest daughter got me, and on the T-shirt it says, I speak fluent movie quotes. Yeah.
She could be your daughter.
So the spirit speaks to me through movies.
Oh yeah.
Dorothy's heard this video. It's like, but I'll get upload, like it'll say watch this movie, and I'll be like, and I'll read it, and I'll be like, I don't want to watch that. Like I literally don't want to watch it.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh crap! So here we go. So Seabiscuit is always my go-to when someone asks. It's like it's right there.
Diana, I love that movie.
Yeah, I went through a lot of childhood trauma, and so that was the vehicle that was used to, keep me. That was my life force.
Yeah.
And teach me things, and so yeah.
I love Jim Caviezel. I love the movie The Count of Monte Cristo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that movie, Count of Monte Cristo. I've got so many good lines from that one, and I love all of them. I mean, I watch Dumb and Dumber. I got good lines from Dumb and Dumber.
Hey, come on. Cool. Hey, they just use that in football. So you're saying I got a chance.
Yeah. I love
what?
Yeah. Okay, I got to quit.
What's hilarious is, Chris, when you said that you were like a big Hallmark movie fanatic, my heart was just like, oh my gosh, because my dad used to watch it all the time, and my mom used to hate watching them. So he's been gone now for 2 years. So she was at our house this past week, and she says, guess what I've been watching? I'm like, I have no idea, because she's anything's possible with her. Hallmark movies.
Well, they start playing Christmas movies like October the 27th.
June
24/7 on 3 channels, 3 Hallmark channels, and they show it till the first week of January. I get my feel of them. I do.
Wow, we'll have to come back and just maybe create a show called rate the movie or something. I don't know. We'll have to do that.
There you go. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. So, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us. And remember, guys, be unstoppable in all that you do, and same time, same channel next week.